Today we are doing something that is very, very interesting and experiential. It's called Mantrupasana, and this is almost entirely based on a lecture by Ramapat Swami. He gave it as part of, I believe, a series of lectures maybe 6 years ago. And when I was listening to it, uh, very much I was very much touched by its practical implication. And so I more or less, I would not say done a copy paste, but I've more or less taken the points from Maharaj's lecture and will present it to you. It's um, mostly discussion. So, what is mantra upasana? So, what is mantra? So, uh, technically, mantra in Sanskrit means mantra trayate. So, mana is mind, and trayate means that it frees the mind. And it frees the mind from material considerations, elevates it to a spiritual platform. So that is mantra, manatrayate. And upasana, so upa means being close, right? Upanayanam means being under the eye of your spiritual master. And Upanishad means come and sitting close by. So sitting close and learning. So upa means close, and asana again means sitting. So mantra upasana means developing a close relationship with the mantra that we chant. So we are all familiar with the what we consider to be as our as a dharovar, as a foundation, which is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Srila Prabhupada in his lectures, he spoke implicitly about Mantrupasana. He didn't explicitly say that this is Mantrupasana and then you should do it, but he speaks about Mantrupasana indirectly at different places, also in the in his lectures on Brahma Samhita. So Brahma Samhita essentially, a part of the Brahma Samhita essentially is Mantrupasana. Lord Brahma meditating on the mantras that he has received. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the famous Gajendra Moksha pastime, which is another example of Mantrupasana. So you're all familiar with the Gajendra Moksha pastime, and I'll go through it quickly for the sake of completeness. That there was a king by the name of Maharaj Indradrumna, and he was a Raj Rishi, very pious king. And when he reached his ashram, he left his kingdom and he retired. He built a small cottage for himself, and then he started meditating on the mantras. So it so happened that while he was once day sitting deep in meditation, Agastya Rishi came by. And because Maharaj Indradumna was so deep in meditation, he did not get up and greet him. Brahman has come to your house. So either it's said when you have a guest, even if the guest is a Shudra, then by words and by actions, one must greet the guest. One should offer a place to sit. One should offer a glass of water. I remember I was listening to a lecture by, I think it was Navgendra Maharaj. And he was saying half humorous. He was saying nowadays if you go to people's houses, they will stand at the door and talk to you and then basically ask you to go away. So they won't even let you come inside the house. They will open the door and they'll say, oh, what's the matter? Why have you come? And it's okay, I want this. Okay, just wait, I'll get you this. They'll give the person that and they'll ask the person to go. And then he was saying, look at this. That the duty of the grasta is to be always ready to greet your guests. And if the grasta is not greeting the guests, it's a sin. So you're saying so sinful. In this case, Agastya Rishi, he was a grasta in a way. His ashram had changed, but Indradumna's ashram was changed, but he was a grasta. And Agastya Rishi is Agastya Rishi, he's Brahma Rishi, one of the Sapta Rishis. So he became very angry and he cursed him. He said, you're sitting there dull like an elephant, so may you become an elephant. Now, why did Agastya Rishi curse him? Whether Maharaj Indradumna was deliberately pretending to be in meditation to not greet Agastya Rishi, or Agastya Rishi saw that there was some contamination in him, that part is not clear. Because similar pastime happens in the Bhagavatam also, right? Parishit Maharaj goes to the ashram of Shamik Rishi. Shamik Rishi is deep in meditation. Parishit Rishi gets angry and he puts the snake, the dead snake, around his neck. So, whatever the internal reasons is, they are not revealed. But Indradumna gets cursed, and then he becomes an elephant. Now he does not become an ordinary elephant. He becomes the king of elephants, and not on the Earth planet, but some planet of the universe. So it's not, the name of the planet is not given, but there is an elaborate description of the planet. There is a description of the Trikuta mountain, which has 3 peaks of gold, silver, and I believe copper, and fabulously large plants and trees, etc. And so it's another planet, and he becomes the king of the elephant over there. Very, very powerful. So powerful that when he would move in the forest, all the creatures would make way for him. And as he would walk, the whole jungle would basically make way for him. In the sense that he would walk, and if there was a tree on his way, he would simply uproot the tree. So it would look like there's a whirlwind going through the jungle. And he was surrounded by his companions, male and female elephants. So one day he goes to the bank of a lake, and the water is described as fragrant, and it is colored by the fragrance that is worn by the wives of the devas. So it indicates that this is a heavenly planet. So when the wives of the demigods would come and take bath in it, then the ointments that they would use to anoint their bodies, it would mix into the water and increase its fragrance and beauty. So Gajendra, he first lets the children elephant and the female elephants take bath, and after they have taken bath, then he enters the water himself. Now in the lake there is also living a crocodile, and the crocodile by nature is very envious, and it has become even more angry because of all the disturbance that has been caused by these elephants. So when Gajendra enters the water, it catches hold of the foot of Gajendra. And there is this tug of war going on, that the Grihi, so the crocodile in Sanskrit is known as Grihi. So So the Grihi is trying to pull Gajendra into the water, and Gajendra is trying to pull the crocodile out of the water. And both of them are very, very strong. So initially, the elephants that were there with Gajendra, they tried to catch hold of him and pull him out, but nothing works. And eventually they all leave him. So this tug of war goes on for 1000 years, long time. So they all leave him, and Gajendra is now seeing that his death is imminent. So at this point, he remembers a mantra from his previous life. So as an elephant, obviously, he does not make any spiritual advancements. He is not reading scriptures, he is not reciting stotras, but in his previous life he was. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tatratam buddhi samyogam labate purva dehikam yatate cha tatobhuya samsiddha kuru nandana. So he says, so he's describing he's answering Arjun's question that what happens to a yogi who does not reach perfection. So Krishna says that on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. And he again tries to make progress in order to achieve complete success. So what does it mean to say that he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life? It's not that he suddenly starts remembering that I was this person in my previous life and this was my family and this is my house. No. What it means is that the impressions that have been created in the mind because of the previous activities in devotional life, they become prominent on their own. And that's why we see even around us that some people take to Krishna consciousness very naturally. They may just, we see in Prabhupada's Leela Amrita, that he's walking down the street, there's another person walking the other way, and the person stops and looks at Prabhupada and says, "Are you an Indian Swami?" Prabhupada says, "Yes." And he says, "Oh, I'm very much interested in Indian Swamis." Prabhupada says, "Okay, come with me." And the person comes, and after a few minutes of conversation, Prabhupada opens his cupboard, takes out a big stack of handwritten pages and says, "Now you come here and every day you sit and type this up." And that becomes Prabhupada's first edition of Bhagavad Gita. And the person becomes Hayagriva Swami. Right? So, just seeing Prabhupada, walking down the street, he looked at Prabhupada, Prabhupada looked at him, that was enough. Right? And then there are other cases also that they saw Prabhupada from a distance only. They didn't even have actual contact with Prabhupada. And who's that devotee who started the 24-hour Kirtan in Vrindavan? I forget his name. He is from the DC area only. He didn't even see the devotees. He just heard them. He just heard the Kirtan, and that was it. Aindra Prabhu. Correct. Thank you. Aindra Prabhu. So he didn't even see the devotees. He just heard the Kartal and the Kirtan, and then he says that I knew I had gone back. I reached home. I come to my home, my true belonging. That is Purva Samskar. So this is the power of Mantropasana. That when we chant the mantra with full consciousness, then the mantra, it develops a relationship with us. It creates a deep impression in our heart. Something that does not go away even with death. So Gajendra, because of his Mantropasana in his previous life as Indradumna, he those mantras were there. And then when he was about to give up his body, then they manifested. And you must have seen that picture of Gajendra. He plucked a lotus flower from the lake, and then he raises it in the air, and then he starts chanting the mantra. And Krishna immediately appears on the back of Garud. Prabhupada says that in the purport, it is imperative, therefore, that all devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Certainly one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Maha Mantra or great mantra, and also one should practice chanting Chintamani Prakar Sadmashu or the Narsingha Stotra. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly, so that even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in his next life he will not forget Krishna consciousness, even if he becomes an animal. Of course, a devotee should try to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life, for simply by understanding Krishna and his instructions, after giving up his body, one can return home back to Godhead. Even if there is some fall down, practice of Krishna consciousness never goes in vain. For example, Ajamil in his boyhood practiced chanting the name of Narayan under the direction of his father. But later in his youth fell down and became a drunkard, woman hunter, rogue and thief. Nonetheless, because of chanting the name of Narayan for the purpose of calling his son, whom he had named Narayan, he became advanced, even though he was involved in sinful activities. Therefore, we should not forget the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra under any circumstances. It will help us in the greatest danger, as we find in the life of Gajendra. So that's why Prabhupada, he encouraged us from, in addition to Maha Mantra, chanting other bona fide Vaishnava mantras. So the purpose is not to take our attention away from the Maha Mantra, but the purpose is, so just like we follow the 4 regulative principles, they're not at the same level as chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, but they are supporting angas. That by following the regulative principles, we are stronger in our chanting. Similarly, by chanting the Narsimha Stotra, the Brahma Samhita, and other mantras, we become stronger in our chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we become stronger in our relationship to that mantra. So, classic example of Mantrupasana, as I said, is in the Brahma Samhita, where Lord Brahma achieved spiritual perfection by Mantrupasana. So we know that when Lord Brahma was first born, then he did not really know what was his purpose in life and what he's supposed to do. And then he receives the first mantra from Saraswati Devi. So this is not Saraswati Devi. So there is one Saraswati Devi who is the consort of Lord Brahma, and she of course could not be there because Lord Brahma was the only jiva in the universe at the time. But Bhakti Siddhanta explains that this is actually the original Saraswati Devi who is the consort of Lord Narsimha Dev. And she gives Brahma the Gopal Gayatri mantra. So for those who are Brahmins and chant the Gayatri every day, or 3 times a day, this is the 6th mantra that is chanted. So Lord Brahma, he chanted the Gopal Gayatri mantra for 1000 years. That was his only sustenance. So look at the position of Brahma, that did not have any direct association of other devotees, did not have any deity to worship, did not have any tirthas to go to, did not have any scriptures to study. Only one thing he had, which is mantra. He was given this mantra and he was meditating on that mantra and chanting on it for 1000 celestial years. And simply by the potency of chanting this mantra, he understood his identity as Nitya Krishna Das, as the eternal servant of Krishna. Now, when he understands his position in relation to Krishna, then he receives the second mantra. And this time that mantra, it emanates from the flute of Krishna. It enters into the 8 years of Lord Brahma. And then he goes through this second phase of mantra upasana, meditating on the mantra that he receives from Krishna. And then he further understands his identity as a maidservant of Krishna. So first he understands his identity as a servant of Krishna. And now he understands his identity more specifically as that I am a maidservant. So I am a manjari, I assist the gopis, or the gopi bhav that is his eternal possession. So Srila Prabhupada, actually I had a clip of the audio lecture. Let me see if I can get it. So Srila Prabhupada, actually he asks his disciples that you should all read the Brahma Samhita because one, it's been given by my Guru Maharaj, so that makes us perfect. And second is that it contains the highest knowledge of Krishna. It is the gist of the Bhagavatam. It says, all my students, please read the Brahma Samhita very carefully. So let me get the recording, and if you give me a minute. मेरा फोन कहाँ पे है? आपके पास ही तो रखा है? या उधर बेड पे रखिए। Okay. So it's a little old recording, and let me see if you can hear it. So this is Prabhupada in a lecture asking everybody to, as a daily function, to study the Brahma Samhita. So what we will do is that as an exercise, we will take one of the verse of the Brahma Samhita and then see how mantra upasana is practically done. So before that, I just want to establish a little bit of context, and this is 5.3, the third verse of the Brahma Samhita, that Krishna Leela, Krishna pastimes, they have two features. They can either be prakrit or they can be aprakrit. So prakrit Leela is the Vrindavan pastimes. Right? Krishna appeared and he performed his pastimes in full view of everybody else. Then Aprakrit Leela is of two kinds. One is Nitya Leela, that is eternally going on in Goloka. So it is Aprakrit over here. For us it is Aprakrit, there of course it is Prakrit. But for us here, we don't see it. So it's Aprakrit. And the second is the Bhaumya Leela, which is happening in Gokul. So even the Bhaumya Leela is eternal. Sometimes it is manifest and sometimes it is not manifest. When it is manifest, it is Prakrit. When it is not manifest, it is Aprakrit. So Krishna has Golok Leela and Gokul Leela. Golok Leela is Aprakrit and Nitya. Gokul Leela is Bhaumya and it is also Nitya. And it is in two categories, Prakrit and Aprakrit. Prakrit is when it is visible to everyone and Aprakrit is when it is not. But it is still eternally going on. So Bhakti Siddhanta says that in order to make the Aprakrit Prakrit, in order to make the unmanifest manifest, there are two ways. The first is by mantra upasana. Jiva Goswami comments and he uses a metaphor to explain on this. So he says that there is a river that is flowing, and sometimes the river, it takes a small detour and it fills up. There may be a big hollow indentation in the land. So the river that is flowing, the water will also go into that big indentation, and there'll be a small lake over there. So Mantrupasana is kind of like entering into that lake. So the water in the lake is identical to water in the river, but the only difference is that the water in the river is flowing, it's dynamic, and the water in the lake is stagnant. So by Mantrupasana, one can get glimpses of the pastime of the Lord or the form of the Lord. So through elevation in Mantrupasana, one can actually see the pastimes of Krishna. Prabhupada would say that if you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then you can see Krishna face to face. So this is what he meant. This is the power of Mantrupasana. Now, when one is further advanced in Mantrupasana, then one enters into the Swarasika stage, where one from the lake enters into the river, which means that now one is actually participating in the pastime. So earlier one is witnessing the pastimes, and now one is actually participating in the pastimes. We see in the case of the Shat Goswamis that because they were so advanced in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by the potency of that chanting, they could actually witness the pastimes. And that's how they were writing their books. So there were the Gopal Champu and so many books that are written talking about the intimate pastimes of Krishna. I was listening to, I forget the details, but I think it was Rupa Goswami who was once writing about a pastime of Radha and Krishna together, and he is describing Radharani's hair, that it is thick like a snake. And then Sanatana Goswami looks at it and he gets a little bit Like, how can you compare with a snake? And then later on, I'm actually completely massacring the pastime just because I don't remember it properly. But later on, Srimati Radhani reveals herself, and he actually sees that he sees that hair is actually like a thick snake curled behind her back. So the Goswamis were actually writing based on what they were seeing. That's why they were able to write with so much of details, not only about the divine couple, but the trees, the creepers, the other gopis, their expressions. So, because of the potency of mantrupasana. And of course, they were, since they were nityasiddhas, they were also entering into the pastimes. Those things they didn't write. It was more confidential. But yes, there were cases when they would actually also participate in the pastimes. So this is what Brahma also did. That Prabhupada says that Brahma, by the dint of searching self-consciousness, became well acquainted with all the ocean of the Vedas and then issues the following hymn, which is essentially the Govindam Adipurusham Tamham Bhajami. So in the purport of 528, it's written, Brahma thought thus within himself, by the recollection of Kam Gayatri, it seems to me that I am the eternal maidservant of Krishna. Though the other mysteries in regard to the condition of the maidservant of Krishna were not revealed to him, Brahma, by dint of his searching self-consciousness, became well acquainted with the ocean of truth. So what was the searching self-consciousness? Mantrupasana. All the truths of the Vedas were revealed to him, and with the help of those essences of the Vedas, he offered this hymn to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Sriman Mahaprabhu has taught these hymns to his favorite disciples, in as much as it fully contains all the transcendental truths regarding the Vaishnava philosophy. Readers are requested to study and try to enter into the spirit of this hymn. So what does this mean? Study and enter into the spirit? Just like Brahma became intimately connected with the mantra, Bhaktisiddhanta is saying the reader should also similarly become intimately connected with the mantra. So what I'm going to do now is that we'll play one verse of Brahma Samhita, and I would like all of you to listen to it carefully, and then we will try and follow to some extent the how can we meditate on it a little bit more deeply, and then we'll play it again and see the difference. So let me play that. This is a recording by Mahatma Prabhu. I'm sure all of you must have heard it. So the next verse that I will play is the one that we will delve a little deeper on.
Prabhuji. Yeah, Prabhuji, can you also recite it once for us, because we were able to hear the tune very clearly, and the last line where it says, I mean, that is a common thing, but the first part was not clear.
I'll recite it also, sure.
Thank you.
So this is one of the verses that is sung during the greeting of the deities. Venam kvanantam aravinda dalaya taksham baravatam samasitam buddha sundarangam kandarpa kotikamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Right? So we all listen to the verse, we listen to the wonderful rendition by Mahatma Prabhu, and it makes a difference. But now what we will do is that we will go a little bit deeper into the mantra and then listen it again and then see what difference does it make. So first, for the translation of the mantra is that I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, and with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. So this is a description of the form of the Lord, and primarily a description of his form, but also of his activity, playing the flute. So, Venam Kvanantam, right? The verse starts with Venam Kvanantam. So, Venam Kvanantam, Venu is the flute. So, Krishna is playing his flute. Kvanantam is playing. Krishna is playing his Venu. So, this is Leela Smaran, that we are meditating on Krishna's Leela. What Leela? There are so many Leelas of Krishna playing his flute. One Leela that we can meditate on is, it happens in Tirkadamba. So, Tirkadamba, some of you must have gone there. It's about 1.5 kilometers from Nandagaon. It's very much off the beaten track. Very few people go over there. And it's more or less pristine. There's a Babaji that lives there. And this is the place where Srila Rupa Goswami, he did his bhajan, one of his bhajan kutirs. This is also the place that he wrote the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Nectar of Devotion is a commentary on it by Prabhupada. He wrote the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, meditating on the instructions given to him by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Tirkadamba is also the place where Krishna would climb the Kadamba tree. So Kadambas are trees that remind the gopis of Krishna because they are dark colored. So when Krishna was doing his Go Charan Leela, then at the end of the day, he would climb the Kadamba tree, and Tir means to call. So Tir Kadamba means that he would climb the Kadamba tree and he would call the cows. He had 900,000 cows. And how did he call them? By Venam Kanantam. So he would play his flute. And Krishna would play his flute in a way that the notes would correspond to the names of the cows. So he would play a flute that would correspond to a certain cow's name. And when the cow heard its name, then it would come rushing back to Krishna with its tail held high and jumping on its four legs. They would rush back to Krishna. And Krishna would play another note, and that would correspond to the name of another cow, and then that cow would rush towards Krishna. So that is Venam Kanantam, Krishna playing his flute in Tirkadamba. Krishna would also play his flute to call the gopis. In Vamsivarta, he plays his flute, and the gopis are as if forcibly attracted to Krishna. Now, the gopis, of course, wanted to be with Krishna, but when they heard the flute notes of Krishna's playing, then it was as if iron was being attracted by a powerful magnet. So that is Venam Kanantam, Krishna playing his flute and attracting all kinds of living entities. So when we hear Venam Kanantam, then we meditate on Krishna's flute playing with the prayer in our heart that we also get attracted in the same way. So Krishna's Leela is Nitya. His flute playing is going on. We are just not able to hear it. For us it is Aprakrit, but it is Nitya Leela. Both the Bhaumya and the Golok Leela are Nitya Leelas. Only we have to become purified to see it. Then what is the second? Venam Kanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham. So this is Rupa Smarana. Aravinda Dalaya Taksham is that the eyes of Krishna are like lotus petals. So we have all seen lotus petals somewhere or other else. We have seen them in New Vrindavan, seen them in pictures. They're delicate. They have a wonderful form, and they have this delicate shading, a little bit darker on the rims, a little bit lighter in the middle, and that is Krishna's eyes. The shape of Krishna's eyes. Then Bara Avatam. Bara Avatam means that there is a peacock feather that is decorating the head of Krishna. Sometimes when Srimati Radharani would see the peacock feathers on the peacocks, then she would be reminded of Krishna and she would go mad in ecstasy. So Bara Avatam is again Rupa Smaran, meditating on Krishna with the peacock feather on his head. Krishna with lotus-like petal eyes with peacock feather decorating his head. And next is, so we have Venam Kanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam. So Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam is that his figure is as beautiful as a rain cloud. So the Krishna's body has the same tinge of blue and black that the rain cloud has. It's neither blue nor black, but if you look at clouds that are filled with rain, then they have this very unique color. It's bluish black. It's like a unique color in itself, and that is the color of Krishna's body. So Maharaj had actually played a recording of thunderstorms, saying that you can actually listen to these thunderstorms and the sound would remind you of the clouds, which would remind you of Krishna. So I'm going to play it and see if you're able to hear it.
Is it being played, Prabhuji?
Were you able to hear it?
Not me, Prabhuji. No.
No, no, Prabhuji.
Oh. Were you able to hear the Govindam Adi Purusham prayers?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Both of them are playing on the computer. Okay. So I guess I don't know this technology well enough.
Are you playing it on your same PC, Prabhuji, where you're running the Zoom call from?
Yes, same PC.
Wow. Okay. And this is on the website where you were playing this file from?
Yes, it's on YouTube. It's a YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a YouTube thing that has 127 million views.
Wow. Maybe you can put the link, Prabhuji, in the chat window, and then
Chat
you
box,
can.
yeah.
I can hear on the Facebook.
So Indulika is saying she can hear it on the Facebook. For some reason, it does not. Some reason it does not like it when I'm playing on the same computer. But I'm actually putting the link.
Sure.
So sorry about that. So whether we visualize clouds that are filled with rain, or we hear this thunderstorm and then think of the clouds, we basically are somehow able to attract some of the senses, whether it's our sense of hearing or seeing or our memory. We attract it to Krishna. That Krishna has this beautiful figure which is tinged with the hue of the color of the rain-filled clouds. Then Kandarpa Koti Kamanaya Vishesha Shobham. Kandarpa Koti Kamanaya Vishesha Shobham. That Kandarpa Koti. Kandarp is another name of Kamadev, Cupid. Koti means millions. So Krishna is so beautiful that he is charming millions of Kandarpas. Kandarpa is so beautiful that he is able to bewilder the minds of even very, very exalted personalities. So we know that pastime that he once went to bewilder Lord Shiva. And of course, it did not succeed. Lord Shiva got angry and he looked at him with anger and he burned his body. Another time, Indra sent Kandarpa to disturb Narayan Rishi when they were performing austerities. And Kandarpa comes and he comes with all these beautiful apsaras and they start singing and dancing. And Narayan Rishi looks at them and smiles. And then from his body he manifests even more beautiful women. And looking at the beauty of Narayan Rishi, the damsels who had come with Kandarpa, they became ashamed. They began to think of themselves as ugly. And Kandarpa became very scared. Kamdev became scared that what's going to happen to me. And Narayan Rishi smiled and said, no, don't be scared. In fact, here, take this as a gift. So one of the apsaras that had manifested from his body was named Urvashi. And he said, take her as a gift. So Krishna is so beautiful that the most beautiful creature in the universe, in the material universe, is ashamed of his own beauty in front of Krishna's beauty. So, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. That is attracting millions of cupids. Now, one might say there's only one cupid in a universe, which is true. But there are millions of universes. And there is no universe in which there is a cupid who is not attracted by the beauty of Krishna. So everyone is attracted to Krishna, not only in the spiritual world, but even in the material world. We may debate this statement that there are so many people who are not attracted to Krishna, who are envious of Krishna. But if you look at it, they are attracted to Krishna's external energy. So they are also attracted to Krishna, a different form there. When the procession of the deities goes out on the road, then when the Brahman sees the deities, they start chanting mantras. When the devotees see the deities, they start singing and dancing in jubilation. When the pious people see the deities, they offer obeisances. When the impious people see the deities, they quickly turn away and go in a different direction. When the dogs see the procession, they start barking. So, everyone is interacting with the deities in one way or the other. Right from the dog who is barking at the procession to the Brahmanas who are chanting mantras and the devotees who are singing and dancing. There are some who are attracted to Krishna's internal energy, and then there are some who are attracted to Krishna's external energy. So that is Kandarpa Koti Kamaneya Vishesha Shobham. So when Shringararati is done in the temple, then we all come in front of the nicely adorned deities, and then we are experiencing that at the moment. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham, that we are attracted to the deities. So we see the devotees standing with their eyes wide open, and they're looking at the deities. They're drinking the beauty of the deities with their eyes. So that is Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So we looked at the verse in a little bit details. Venam Kanantam is Krishna playing his flute, and by the sound of the flute, all the living entities are mesmerized. Krishna is on top of a tir, on top of a kadam tree, and he's playing his flute, and the cows are coming running to him. And Srimati Radharani and the gopis are listening to the sound of the flute, and they are attracted to Krishna. Arvinda Dalaya Taksham, that his eyes are like lotus petal. Bharavatam, he has a peacock feather on his head. Asita Buddha Sundarangam, that his complexion is like that of a rain cloud. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. And this is the Krishna that is attracting all living entities. And Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. May that Krishna also attract us. So now with the same meditation, I am going to play the same verse again. And this time when you hear the verse, so I would request you in each of the phrase, we should try and relate it to the meditation now that we have, the understanding that we have in terms of what is it that is being conveyed. And then see what is the difference that it makes in terms of our relationship with the mantra. Okay, and I hope you're able to hear it. If there's gods of the computer and the internet,
Govinda Hari
play it one more time. So we can see that there is a difference that between between hearing, which is also because just the chanting of the mantra has the potency, but hearing the mantra, appreciating what is being spoken and the deeper aspects of it. That now when we hear the words, we have this picture of Krishna with lotus-like eyes, with a peacock feather, playing his flute with indescribable beauty. And now all of a sudden the mantra is not just words, it's Roop Smaran and Leela Smaran. So we say that from Nam we get Roop and Leela, Gun, Roop and Leela. So now this is how the process is, that now just from the words of the mantra we are getting access to the form of Krishna and the qualities of Krishna. And that's what we develop a relationship with. That's what becomes embedded in our own heart as samskar, as impressions that carry from life to life. So I'm going to stop over here and see if there is any realizations or discussions that we would like to share.
No, thank you very Prabhuji. Very nice. Actually, I want to we go to do the Prabhupada service on Fridays, right? So then after the service, we get a Singar Darshan and they play this every morning, right? So now, I realize, this is really how. So I see a lot of the devotees, they just keep looking at Krishna in the morning, right? So I can realize, I haven't experienced that, but I can see how they stand still and just looking with so much of bhav into them. I understand now, they know the meaning of this Brahma Sahita verses. But it will be a very good experience when I go next time. It will be a difference.
Yeah, we'll see the difference. We'll see the difference ourselves. Thank you, Prabhu.
So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very nice, experiential, and with a lot of feelings you expressed, and we were able to get the part of it. Of course, we are not there, but I enjoyed the tune of the prayer that you were playing, and whatever explanation you had given in your elaboration. That part also was very sweet. Somehow I was not able to hear the lyrics properly, and then I was not able to relate like you wanted us to, that now we know the meaning. So if you know the meaning behind it and when you are listening to it, then it becomes very, very sweet. But I could feel it. I could see it in your expression also. So thank you for the class. And So mantra and the way you explain the purpose, it seems to me that it is mantra literally means glorification of the Lord. Is that true, Prabhuji? That we are trying to glorify the Lord, whether it's Brahm Samhita, whether it's during Kartik we read and all the mantras. It is for the glorification of the Lord.
It's so mantra is the media for prayers. So glorification of the Lord, or it's a prayer for some, like Laddu Gopal Prabhu initially when he was saying Sarva Bhayanta Sukhinaha, that essentially is a prayer for welfare for everybody. So it's basically uh, an authorized way to express one's whether it's a relationship or feeling or asking something. It's an authorized way for us to express that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very
Thank
sweet.
you, Prabhu.
This is also like this like when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are not doing a roop probably like this is Brahma Samhita where we are doing roop dhyan, we are trying to see the divine form of Krishna here. While in mantra, like we have been asked more to concentrate on the sound vibration, as a Shabda Brahma maybe.
Maybe what we can do is next week do Mantrupasana on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because that's what we do. So we do meditate on the sound, but the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra being the highest mantra, it gives us access to everything, not just the Naam, but the Guna, the Roop, the Leela, everything. Mahanidhi Swami has a wonderful book on this where he talks about Mantrupasana using the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Part of it is a little esoteric because it's an exalted mantra. It gives Mahanidhi Swami explains that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a sound representation of the rasa dance. So from there, at a very exalted level, which we are not qualified to meditate on, but it's also a description of the form of the Lord. It's also a description of the sweetness of the Lord. So at the minimum, we should meditate on the sound. But while we are meditating on the sound, we should meditate on the purport of the mantra. Right? That's what we did now. So we were listening to Venam Kanantam Aravinda Dalai. So we were listening to the sound recitation. But then Venam Kanantam, and I gave just one meaning, but there are actually hundreds of meanings of Venam Kanantam, reflecting different pastimes of Krishna. Krishna playing his flute in this Leela, Krishna playing his flute in that Leela, Krishna playing his flute to bewilder the gopis. So many Leelas are linked to it. And Venam Kanantam can give access to one or more of them. So using the potency of the mantra, one gets the ability to enter. And as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, and of course again we are not at that stage, but hopefully we will get there one day, that using the potency of the mantra one can enter into witnessing the pastimes or actually participating in the pastimes. So that's why the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is, Prabhupada would say with so much of surety, if you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you will see Krishna face to face. So what does that mean? You will see Krishna face to face. Generally people think that what it means is that if you chant Hare Krishna, your life will be perfect. When you die, you will see Krishna. Which is again a valid understanding. But it also means that even in this very body, when you're chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because of the potency of the mantra, because the mantra upasana, you can see Krishna face to face. And not only can you see Krishna face to face, you can interact with Krishna. Prabhupada will say Krishna will dance on your tongue. And that is Farasiki. That Krishna dancing on the tongue means you're dancing with Krishna. Why? Because of the chanting of the Maha Mantra. I'll see. I can't promise, but I'll see if we can do mantra upasana on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra next week.
Hare Krishna, may I? This is Vijaya.
Hare Krishna Vijaya.
So thank you so much. This is the first time. I read the translation, but I think I never read the purport of anybody. But it's really very sweet, like Rajneesh Prabhu was saying. I couldn't hear clearly the prayers, but your class is very nice. And I was actually going to request that maybe we should, if you can, go with each stanza, each of the Brahma Samhita in future, because I hear it, and we used to play it when we cooked together at the temple too. So so I was just thinking of those times, and it really made me longing for those times. But the other one is I don't know, this is the first time maybe I realized, like you were saying, Mahamantra is the highest of it, but I never got the, that taste or that feeling. But this one, when you were saying it, I could remember the poster everywhere. Krishna is leaning on a tree and playing the flute, and I can imagine, especially the first part, that all the cows at the end of the day come running to him. So it was really nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm sorry that somehow I did not play. I actually have the recording on my phone, and I'm going to play it. It's a little too late, but let me at least play it so that you can hear it once. Were you able to hear this?
That was very clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I have
Very clear.
Very sweet.
I should have done that first. I have very limited intelligence, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a two devices, Prabhuji, because that audio port on the is also bound to Zoom, and then you're applying another sound, so it's interfering. So if you do another device, that will make it easier.
Yeah. I have the MP3 of the whole Brahma Samhita prayer recited by Mahatma Prabhu. I'll give it to Indulekha, and she'll figure out. She can somehow drop it in WhatsApp or something like that, so that you can get it. Okay, so we'll stop over.
And,
yeah, go ahead.
And Prabhuji, one more quick question. The songs given to us by acharyas that we also practice or sing in glorification of the Lord, are they same as mantras, or they are different?
Same. It's a very good question. Prabhupada actually says, and Nopal Maharaj also made this point, that the realizations of our acharyas are at the same level as the Vedic mantras. So the songs by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Markin Bhagwat written by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada writes also in his purports many times. He says that they are the same because they're coming from, the realizations are coming from the same source. So they're same. Thank you for bringing that point up.
And one more, Prabhuji, is Damodar Akshatam pretty similar in its description or prayer, the mood of prayers to Brahma Samhita?
It is. Actually, in the last Kartik, one of the things we wanted to do was to discuss Damodar Ashtakam, but we got too deep into Damodar Leela. But Damodar Ashtakam also, maybe in this Kartik we'll do it. It's very sweet. The words spoken by Satyavrata Muni, they have so many realizations embedded into it. And maybe what we will do is, at least we can plan to do it before Kartik, so that when we sing the Damodar Ashtakam in Kartik, then we have a little bit of deeper understanding of the, because Damodar Ashtakam everybody loves, such a beautiful tune and the words are beautiful, just like Brahma Samhita. But once we get a little bit deeper understanding, then that our appreciation also becomes a lot more deeper. So I'll make a note to myself. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so we'll end at this point, and after that we will chant one round of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And well, no, we have the Narsingdev prayer, right? We have the Narsingdev prayer first, and then we'll chant. We should have chanted earlier, but I forgot. So we'll have Narsingdev prayer, and then we'll chant one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, शीला प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। हरि हरे कृष्ण।